Okay, so remember when I said that this would be fun? Haha, joke's on you. It was not fun. Well, maybe joke's on me. All right, well, long story over is I printed this clamp that I designed. It's a two-piece clamp, it splits right there, and it clamps this motor directly down onto the linear bearing that you can kind of see there. And come on, focus. There we go. Got Tomitis. So that's my linear bearing, slides on the rail, and the whole thing is actually pretty smooth. It's pretty solid, smooth. I think it's going to work okay. The clamp is bigger than I'd anticipated, but I've got holes all the way down. I wanted to make sure I had enough material to be strong enough. But the kicker was there's a set screw right down there on this side of that block. And then there's another screw. I have no idea if I'll be able to see it or not. Probably not. But the one on the right side, I had to pull that off and drill and tap that to get a screw that would hold on there. And in the process of that, I pulled the bearing apart, cleaned that up, dropped the bearings twice. It was kind of a nightmare. But I'm going to use those two screw points to attach a belt to. So my belt is going to come off this side. It's going to loop around underneath, come around here, and that's where I'll have a motor and a pulley to drive it, and then come back around this side. So the belt will be attached there. That is my plan. So at least I have this part of the bearing done, and I can move on to the motion part of it. And an end stop. Forgot about the end stop. Oh, geez. Okay. So my idea for attaching my belt to my x-axis was I've got the bearing part of the linear rail covered up here with tape, and this side has a threaded hole in it. This side did not, so I had to drill and tap a new hole on this side, but that will let me attach a belt to either side of it and give me much better belt tension and movement. It'll just be much tighter than trying to attach to a 3D printed part. I spent far too much time trying to print a yoke, a piece that would connect my belt to the block. And I struggled with this all day long. I finally came up with a solution, but I don't want to say I wasted the whole day because I learned a great deal. So it wasn't wasted, but at the same time, I didn't make as much forward progress as I really wanted to. I was constantly getting under extrusion and weird stringing, which my printer rarely has any stringing issues. It was just horrible, and I couldn't figure out why. I designed this to be printed standing upright, and I spent way too much time trying to redesign it, and I went slower and faster, and I went to 0.2 instead of 0.3, and nothing would help. So out of desperation, I laid it on its side and tried to print it that way. And when I laid it on its side, it turned out beautifully. It was exactly what I wanted, even though I designed it to be printed upright. So this is the actual part that is going to connect. So I've got a shaft here, or a screw that will screw into that block, and then I've got a yoke here, and my belt is going to feed around that. Well, I'll just show you that. So there's my yoke. It's already, or I guess we'll just call the whole thing a yoke. It's screwed into the block back here. You can't see that, but I've got the belt wrapped around it, got a cable tie on it, and so that is what's going to attach on both sides to pull this. So now I'm working on the feed mechanism around here, so the belt will loop around and go back the other way.